I'm not a big firework guy. You know, you always have that friend that lost a couple fingers and this and that. I don't like the M80s and this and that. I just like the colorful stuff. But
I always was scared of fireworks for that reason. I was always
yeah,
afraid of blowing my fingers off.
yeah, you always hear about that shit every year. It's like, oh, this guy lost a thumb.
We
It's
used
like,
to
oh,
do
well, fuck.
we used to do mescaline, and I remember we would do mescaline, and we would take what are those things? The bottle rockets,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and we would
yeah.
aim them at cars on the highway. I would just trip with my
Wow.
friends and try to shoot cars with bottle
Wow,
rockets.
that's something you probably did. You outgrow that, or you still
No, I did. I don't do drugs anymore, but I was a
oh,
creepy little
a
teenager.
creepy little
I was a
teenager?
creepy little. I used to steal porno magazines. There was a Quality Inn next to us, and this is how old. Did I ever tell the story in there? And they had these. They had Wee magazine, Penthouse, and Playboy, and I would go with a screwdriver once a month when they came out. That's how you know you're addicted to sex when you're 13 years old and you're jimmying the magazines out, and I would make sure I stole all the brand new porn magazines and then take them home.
Different world,
Yeah,
world now.
I know. I never
I mean,
imagined I'd be carrying around this magical device. I'm pointing at my own dick. Um,
You know, now iPads and everything else. I mean, you can get your porn. It's just so high tech now, and it's such a beautiful thing. But listen, let's get back to the Ultimate Fighter 23 finale. And before we talk about, first of all, I've been saying Joanna, and
Joanna.
it's Joanna, Joanna.
now, how do you say
And,
her last name?
Fucking, are you serious?
Yeah.
But anyway, she's fighting a girl named Claudia. She's fighting Claudia and Gadella.
Gadella, yeah.
Gadella.
I think Claudia Gadella and Joanna, let me see. Because I had it, I could say it, and then when I don't
Try
say
it once.
Jones? How do you say it?
I say it Yon Jacek.
Oh,
Yon
you're so
Jacek,
fancy,
is it-
Chris, the
yeah.
producer.
He
Good
just
for
thinks
you.
it sounds smart. Here's what
Yeah,
Chris is full of shit. He thinks it's smart to make the J like a Y.
Yeah.
He doesn't know if that's true. Johanna, J
You're
check
so-
maybe. Yeah, I
you're
can't
so
say her
fucking
last name.
fancy. You know what I call her? I call her Joanna the fucking champ. She's the champ.
Yeah.
But listen, before we get to that, there's going to be this is the debut of Will Brooks, who came over. He was the Bellator champ, and man, the guy
17-1.
he only has only one loss that he later avenged, and you know the guy he beat Mike Chandler. Was that a couple times he beat Mike Chandler? Twice, and Mike Chandler's a stud. So you know, and but I'll tell you right now, he's got his hands full with Ross Pearson. Ross Pearson, you're familiar with Ross, British kid.
British, yes.
Man, little bulldog. What a tough guy. I cornered Raging Ally Aquinta versus him. I believe that was over in England. No, wait, was that Australia? That might have been Australia. Anyway, they fought. Dude, I'm all over the place. But they did fight, and, you know, Al ended up getting the victory. But that Ross Pearson's guy who's been around, and he is straight up, and he comes in, and he just looks like a little Tyson, man. He's throwing, he just throws, and he's coming forward, and he's a tough guy, man. And I mean, this guy's definitely, you know, he's going to be welcoming Will Brooks to the UFC. So I'm really excited about that fight. I can't wait for that one, man. And then of course I was watching it. I watched it last night. I watched it again this morning, and it wasn't like homework. I'm talking about Joanna versus Claudia. What a great fight! You've seen it recently?
The
or-
first fight, yes, I did. And the first fight, it was Joanna won a decision, and it was a split decision. And that was a really close fight. Like, I knew who won it because just when I had seen it a while ago, and then when I rewatched it, I remembered it. But it's like, I don't know, man.
Well, who do you think should have won?
I'm not saying she shouldn't have won,
Yeah.
but that was extremely close, and it seemed like in the third round, Claudia totally dominated her on the ground. So I was kind of surprised that she got that.
Yeah, no, you know what? I thought it
Even though
was.
she floored her in the first round.
Yeah, oh man, she did floor her, and with that was it an uppercut? I believe it was an uppercut. Man, what a fight! I believe the decision was just. I feel that she's. I mean, that Claudia is really tough, and she's a multiple time Brazilian jiu-jitsu champion.
Yeah.
So she obviously she wants to fight on the floor, but it's not like she can't strike. And that's the reason why I think her takedowns were effective. It's because she gives you something to worry about. A lot of times you get somebody with a jiu-jitsu background or a grappling background, and you know they're throwing punches just to get from point A to B. They just want to get a hold of you. So you don't really respect it. You don't really worry about it. I know because I was that guy. I was that jiu-jitsu guy that was throwing just to punch my way into a clinch, punch my way into a takedown, give them something to think about. And then it came over time where I'm like, hey man, I got power, so let me start hurting these people.
Right.
And then
Isn't that what Roy Nelson did too? Like he was such a grappler, and all of a sudden he discovered his right hand could put somebody in the fucking hospital, and he's like, wow, let's just do that. It's easier.
You know what? I mean, yeah, he has a grappling background, and
He's a black belt, right?
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu black belt.
100%. Yeah, and you know the thing is with Roy, since the Ultimate Fighter, I just always remember him just laying people out with that right hand from hell. He's got like that Henderson, like Henderson's got that H bomb they call it. He's got that right hand from hell, and I mean he's had fights where guys are just doing well, whatever, and he just lands that, and it's it's game over.
Do you find guys rely on that though? Like if I had a right hand like that, of course I'd rely on it. But guys like him, and then you see what happened to Fedor towards the end, like where he stopped wrestling as much, or even Henderson, whose right hand, where they have this one punch that is so effective, and it's almost like the whole fight they're gearing up to use that one punch. And I think after a while it starts to hurt you because people know they just got to avoid that.
It's true. I mean, the more weapons, the
By
better.
the way, I said that like somebody's girlfriend. That's my idea of fight input. I sound like the girlfriend of a guy who likes UFC.
No, that's great. Isn't that true? No, I feel like, listen, obviously the more weapons, the better. But there are guys like, listen, even with grappling, there's guys that have a certain move that they're just so efficient at that once they get it, it's over. Who was that? Cody McKenzie. There was a guy. He had a few fights in the UFC. He was an ultimate. He was an Ultimate Fighter guy. He had a guillotine where, you know, the guillotine when you go around.
Sure.
He got that guillotine where even if you're defending it the right way, I'll jump to the other side. He's still choking you out, and it was such a great weapon where guys started getting wise to it. You know, like you're saying. But like that goes the same for these guys with like the big punches. They have other weapons, but that's a fight ender, you know.
I'm amazed with that guillotine how guys get caught in that. I just watched a fight last night. I want to say it was one of John Moraga's fights against Scoggins, I think, and where Scoggins, and I think I'm naming them right. If not, just correct me. But Scoggins was beating him pretty badly in the first round. In the second round, he kept running into a guillotine, and then he kept getting out of it. And then early in round 2, he ran into it, and then Moraga held on to it. And it's one of those things. It's such a nasty way to get choked out, like Velasquez getting choked out by Verdum.
Oh yeah.
And it's almost like that's got to be the worst for a fighter because you're basically running into it in some of these. Like you have to know that it's coming, and yet they run right into it anyway.
Well, I mean, in like Cain Velasquez's situation, like, you know, it's funny how that goes down to styles making fights. Like Verdum, like Cain is probably a worse matchup for everybody in the division except for Verdum, because Verdum's height, it just plays so nice where he can always get a hold of his neck, where he can't do that when he's fighting guys like Alistair Overeem, fighting guys like Stipe, his height. So when Cain comes in to unload on him, he grabs his neck and he jams him up. He's throwing those nice knees like he got Mark Hunt with. So your hero, Mark Hunt, you love Mark Hunt. That's great.
I was on stage at the Comedy Cellar last night, and and there was a table from New Zealand. So of course I talk about Once for Warriors, which is a great movie about the Maoris, which I mentioned to The Rock. And then I asked them, hey, do you know who Mark Hunt is? With a bunch of 17-year-old girls. They're like, no, who's he? Terrible. That's a terrible New Zealand accent, by the way. It was more fucking like Liverpool, England. But I was so bummed they didn't know who Mark Hunt was.
It might have been an age thing.
It probably was. One of them knew Once for Warriors. I didn't.
It's funny, first of all, with the mixed martial arts, because people, sometimes you'll get, like personally, myself, sometimes I'll get like recognized, and then I think people know me. Like, you know, we thought me or you on the subway. That guy was a nice guy, and hey, you know, hey champ. I'm like, oh, hey, nice, hi, and I guess nice. But then I walk around, and I think sometimes like people know me, and literally just before I came here, I stopped into the CVS on the corner because I get here early and wanted to get some cashews and whatever, my healthy eating I'm trying to do. And I see these two guys, and they're looking in my direction, and I give them one of those, like a little nod of the head with an eyebrow, and they fucking looked at me like they think I'm hitting on them or something. I'm like, sorry, I thought you knew me. I used to fight. I
probably thought you were cruising them. That's
exactly. They probably thought I was hitting on them. So it's a weird situation.